Buckle up, folks, because what I'm about to spill is the kind of jaw-dropping, heart-pounding TV disaster that doesn't just make headlines, it shatters careers, ignites social media firestorms, and leaves an entire nation gasping for air. Imagine this: the glittering lights of a packed Hollywood studio, the buzz of a live audience hungry for sharp wit and sizzling debates, and one of America's most battle-hardened talk show titans, Bill Maher, striding into the fray like a gladiator who's slain 1,000. Verbal dragons. Bill's been slinging truth bombs and satirical haymakers for decades on Real Time with Bill Maher, that HBO juggernaut where liberals, conservatives, and everyone in between clash like tectonic plates. He's faced down firebrands, dodged curveballs and the likes of Ben Affleck and in Coulter, and always kept the reins tight, steering the ship through stormy seas with that signature smirk and razor-sharp comeback. Nothing phases him. Or so we thought, but then bam, entered Jasmine Crockett, the fiery Texas congresswoman who's been torching the political landscape like a wildfire in dry grass. Jasmine's no stranger to the spotlight. She's the unapologetic powerhouse who went viral for eviscerating Marjorie Taylor Greene in congressional hearings with zingers that cut deeper than a surgeon's scalpel. She's a rising star in the Democratic firmament, a black woman from Dallas who's clawed her way from public defender roots to Capitol Hill, fighting for voting rights, criminal justice, reform, and a fierce stand against the MAGA machine. Her speech is electric, her Twitter takedowns legendary. She got that rare combo of brain bravado and a backbone forged in the fires of Southern grit, inviting her on Real Time. It should have been a match made in ratings heaven, a clash of titan sparks, flying insights dropping like confetti. Bill, ever the provocateur, probably figured head prodder on hot-button issues like identity, politics, Trump 20, or the Democrats' post-election soul-searching easy. Peasy, right, wrong, dead wrong. This wasn't just an interview gone sideways. This was a nuclear detonation in prime time, a 38-second free fall from polite chit-chat to full-throated apocalypse that had producers scrambling, security sweating, and viewers worldwide hitting rewind in stunned disbelief. In under a minute, Jasmine Crockett didn't just derail the segment. She dynamited her own carefully curated image as the cool-headed crusader, turning a golden opportunity into a self-inflicted inferno. Bill Maher, the unflappable king of the couch, watches empire of eloquence crumble into a circus of screams and finger-pointing. And the audience, they didn't applaud, they froze mouths agape as the studio transformed from a sanctuary of savvy discourse into a battlefield of brutal truths and buried egos. This is the unvarnished, pulse-racing saga of how one guest volcanic eruption turned a simple sit-down into television's most infamous train wreck. Grab your popcorn, because this story is about to explode all over. Again, picture the scene, if you dare, a balmy Friday night in Los Angeles, the kind where the Santa Ana winds whisper promises of drama before the storm hits. The Real-Time studio hums with pre-show energy, stagehands dart like shadows, adjusting those blinding Klieg lights that make every beat a sweat. A starring role, the audience, a curated mix of Hollywood liberals, curious conservatives, and wide-eyed tourists files in with that electric anticipation, clutching programs and snapping selfies. They've paid top dollar for this. Bill Maher unplugged, dissecting the week's absurdities with his panel of pundits, comedians, and contrarians. Tonight's vibe charged, the election hangover lingers like a bad sequel, with whispers of Democratic infighting and Republican gloating still echoing from the headlines. Bill's monologue earlier, a blistering roast of both parties' hypocrisies, landing punchlines that had the crowd roaring laughter echoes off the walls. Glasses clink in the green room, and the air smells of fresh coffee and fresh controversy. Bill Maher emerges from backstage like a rock star, hitting the encore dark suit tailored sharp, as his with salt and pepper hair perfectly tousled that mischievous glint in his eye, saying, "I've got this" at 69. He's a TV immortal host, a politically incorrect, since the 90s survivor of 9/11 backlash, atheist provocateur, who's made enemies on every aisle while raking in Emmys and enduring endless think pieces. He knows the drill. He's danced this tango with divas and demagogues, always emerging with the last word and a sly grin, his desk a fortress of cue cards, water glasses, and that iconic Real-Time logo glowing like a beacon. He settles and cracks a joke to warm up the room, something about Biden's latest gaffe or Elon Musk's latest tweet storm. And the applause swells like a wave. Cameras roll, the theme music pulses. It's showtime, and Bill's in his element, the maestro, conducting chaos into comedy gold. Then the moment arrives, the guest introduction, that pregnant pause where expectations hang heavy. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill announces, his voice smooth as aged bourbon. Please welcome the congresswoman from Texas, fighter for justice, and one of the freshest voices shaking up Washington, Jasmine Crockett. The crowd erupts in polite Thunder a mix of cheers from progressive peanut gallery and curious murmurs from the skeptics. Jasmine strides out under those merciless lights, all 5'6" of unyielding. Fire wrapped in a sleek pantsuit the color of midnight. Resolve her hair a crown of coiled confidence, her smile radiant, disarming the kind that says, I got stories that could curl your toes. She waves to the audience like an old friend shakes Bill's hand with a grip that lingers just a beat too long, firm, assessing. Jasmine, great to have you, Bill, says, gesturing to the hot seat opposite him. Thanks for joining us. She slides into the chair, crosses her legs with effortless poise, and flashes at megawatt grin billets. An honor, let's do this, the energy. Crackles, this could be legendary. Or to be a lit fuse, Bill leans and ever the gentleman interviewer at the outset, flipping through his notes like a professor prepping a seminar. He's done his homework. Jasmine's viral moments, her takedown of green, bleach blonde, bad-built butch body. Remember, that gem her push for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. He starts soft, easing her, and like a boxer testing jabs, Jasmine, you've burst onto the scene like a comet, fierce, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. What's fueling that fire, what keeps you charging into these battles day after day? It's a golden softball tossed with genuine curiosity. Most guests would lap up a heartfelt yarn about growing up in East Texas, defending the underserved, as a lawyer, the epiphany that led her to run for Congress. In 2022, stories of resilience, of turning pain into power. The audience leans forward, ready for inspiration wrapped in intellect. Bill's eyes sparkle with that hope. Please, let's have a real talk. But Jasmine, oh, honey, she doesn't catch the ball. She spikes it right back in his face with the velocity of a scorn storm. Her smile, it evaporates like mist in the morning sun. Those sharp brown eyes narrow into laser beams, locking onto Bill like he's a villain in her personal thriller. She leans forward, elbows on her knees, voice dropping to a husky timbre, laced with lightning. You really want to know what fuels me, Bill? It's charlatans like you perched in your ivory tower studios, lobbing these pretend profound questions like you give a damn about the answers, like you're not just mining for sound bites to feed your smug little echo chamber. The words land like a gut punch, the audience a collective inhale. Sharp as shattered glass, whispers ripple through the rows. Did she just? Bill's eyebrows shoot up like startled pigeons, his pen freezing midair. For a split second, the studio's a vacuum, sucking in all the oxygen. He's been blindsided, and it shows in the flicker of surprise crossing his famously impassive face. Bill recovers quick. He's a pro. After all forged in the fires of FCC fines and cancellation attempts, he sets down his pen with deliberate calm, that trademark half smile twitching like a warning. Light woe hold up Jasmine, him sensing some heat there, care to unpack. That him all ears, genuinely his tones velvet over steel, inviting. But edge the kind of pivot that usually disarms. But Jasmine, she's not disarming, she's arming for war. She straightens up her posture, shifting from poised politician to street fighter ready to rumble. Unpack. Oh, it'll unpack. It Bill, you media moguls, you invite folks like me on these glossy gigs to polish your diversity badge. Pat yourselves on the back for hearing all sides, but let's be real, you don't want my truth, you want my polish, my palatable rage, served up in bite-sized clips that make you look enlightened without ruffling your precious feathers. The audience stirs uneasily, a few nods in the back rows, but mostly stunned silence. A woman in the third row clutches her pearls, metaphorical, but you feel it. Cameras zoom in tight on Jasmine's face, capturing every micro-expressi on the flare of her nostrils, the steel in her gaze. This isn't scripted sparring, this is soul-bearing savagery. Bill's composure holds, but you can see the cracks forming, a subtle tightening of his jaw, fingers drumming the desk like Morse code for abort. He's hosted hurricanes before, heated clashes with Milo Yiannopoulos, philosophical cage matches with Jordan Peterson. But this feels personal, primal. Jasmine, I hear you loud and clear, and look, I get the frustration. The system's rigged against real voices breaking through. That's why I booked you. Your perspective is fresh, it's vital. No tokenism here. I want the unvarnished you. He's masterful, threading empathy into deflection, trying to lasso the conversation back to safer shores. The audience exhales, a bit hoping for détente, a smattering of applause, tentative like testing thin ice. But Jasmine's not buying the bridge. He's selling her laugh, erupts not joyful, but jagged, a bark that echoes off the rafters like breaking china. Fresh perspective. That's cute Bill, real cute, coming from the guy who spent 30 years building an empire on lampooning folks like me, the black woman from the hood, the activist of the accent that screams, other you mock our pain for laughs, then wonder why we don't trust your genuine interest. The studio temperature plummets, then spikes a thermal whiplash that his crew members, exchanging wide-eyed glances off camera. Bills face a mask of measured restraint, but his eyes betray the sting. He's no stranger to accusations of insensitivity. His politically incorrect days drew fire for Islam jokes post 9/11. His Atheism riles religious conservatives, and yeah, he's caught flack for racial edginess that lands wrong in the Twitter age, but this accusation's hurled like daggers in front of a live crowd. It's escalating from debate to do a hold on Jasmine. He interjects voice steady, but volume up a notch. I've never punched down my targets, always power politicians, preaches the elite clown car. If I've ever crossed a line with you personally, say it straight, but let's not rewrite my resume on national TV to the audience. Murmurs approval, a low rumble of solidarity for the host. A guy in a polo shirt nods, vigorously mouthing fair point. But Jasmine's momentum is a runaway freight train brakes, burned out, hurtling toward the cliff. She rises halfway from her chair, palms slamming the armrests like thunder, claps her voice, slicing to the tension like a hot knife through butter. Cross a line, Bill, your whole shtick is a line. You sit there in your bespoke suit sipping that. Overpriced scotch-dropping edgy lone-liners. About welfare queens and gangbangers that your white liberal audience chuckles at nervously. It's not comedy, it's condescension wrapped in cleverness. And now you want to play along to nod and smile. While you learn from my fresh perspective, now I'm done. Being your exhibit A in the zoo awoken, as the words detonate, each syllable a grenade lobbed into the heart of the room, gasps, ripple outward, audible, visceral. A young woman in the front row covers her mouth, eyes wide as saucers, Bill's producers. You can almost hear their frantic whispers to the monitors. Cut to commercial, no, roll with it. This is gold, but gold, this is nitroglycerin volatile. And vein-popping Bill stands now slowly, deliberately, his 6-foot frame unfolding like a warning flag in the wind. He's not yelling, not yet, but his posture screams enough. Jasmine, I respect the passion. I do, hell, it's why you're here. But this isn't dialogue at a drive-by if you've got beef with. My past bits bring receipts, otherwise we're veering into ad. Hominum, hell, and that's not what this show's about. His words are a lifeline tossed into churning waters, but Jasmine bats away like flotsam. She surges to her feet fully now, all fire and fury, pacing the narrow space between chairs like a caged panther sending blood receipts. Oh, I got volumes billed at 2010 bit, where you joked about Obama acting black at the cookout, or the endless jabs at angry black women archetypes that magically never include the white Karen storming school boards your A. Master at punching up right up, until it grazes your comfort zone. And this, she sweeps an arm at the studio, delights the logos. This is your comfort zone, inviting me here. Isn't allyship. It's appropriation. You get to engage with my struggle, then cut the break and laugh it off with your writers. Overkill smoothies the audience is a powder keg, now ignited, and crackling some cheer. Jasmine's raw nerve preach from a cluster of college kids in the balcony. Others shift uncomfortably, loyalty to Bill pulling. Them tour boos, a middle-aged couple in the fifth row, exchanges horrified glances. The husband muttering, this is insane. Phones are out everywhere, screens glowing like fireflies in the dark live. Tweeting the implosion, Maher meltdown trending before the segments. Even halfway done, Bill's face hardens, that easy charm fracturing into something sterner, more paternal. He's dealt with tantrums. Remember the time a guest stormed off mid-rant, but this is visceral, viral, a career ender in the making. Jasmine sit. Please, we're adults here. Let's talk policy, voting rights, police reform, the stuff you're killing it on in D.C. Don't let this devolve into whatever this is. His voice carries. The host's plea lays with the exhaustion of a man who's seen too many egos explode on his watch. But devolve, it's already a dumpster fire, flames licking the rafters. Jasmine whirls on him, finger jabbing the air like an indictment. Policy. That's your escape hatch. Isn't pivot to the serious stuff, so you can ignore the subtext. The real talk you want to recite my legislative wins. Like a beauty queen's platform fine, I've sponsored bills to end cash bail, protect reproductive rights in red states, and shield elections from your buddy Elon's algorithmic Armageddon. But none of that matters if hosts, like you, keep framing us as the problem, too emotional, too woke, too